Welcome, 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 welcome to Soul Power to the People, rising above crimes against humanity, returning soul power to the people. And I told Hailey, my guest, my beautiful guest, right now, I'm the nervous one. She's so brave. She's right here. And thank you so much for being here, Hailey. I so appreciate your courage. I so appreciate your wanting to spread this information out into the world. I want to acknowledge you for rising above the shame of the past, of what happened to you, and rising above it and transcending that, and then now sharing your message to the world. So let's start with that, because I'm one of those people who go to the end of the bookend. Is it a good ending? Share a little bit about yourself, and just share, where are you right now? Because I don't want anyone to pity you. You're not here for that. You're here to empower people. Yes.
So right now I'm 19. I'm a junior in college for social work. I graduated with my liberal arts degree when I was 17.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a dancer. I teach dance classes occasionally. Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Well, thank you. All right. So I awoke to this thing, child sex trafficking. I I was outraged. We met at one of the Facebook groups. I
Yeah.
saw your post, and your post says child sex trafficking. And I'm paraphrasing. It's happening at home. It's not being abducted and being sold off. It's happening at home. Can you share whatever you can share about your experience?
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they think about like child sex trafficking, their mind automatically goes to like a kid being abducted in like a dark alley and like never seeing their family again and like being sold. And of course that does happen. Like I don't want to discredit people who that does happen to, because that's a real, very real problem on its own. I think a lot of times people are so busy looking for kidnappers and abusers that they're afraid to look at their own family or neighbors to see what's really happening. In my experience, my father was my sex trafficker. Um, he started molesting me when I was 4 years old. My first childhood memories of him were of him molesting me at 4. And then when I was 8 years old, I was sold into trafficking. There would be days that I wouldn't see any people. I'd be locked in barns or closets or whatever. And the only people I would see was my dad and his friends coming out to rape me.
No one deserves that, and not from your own father. So how long did it last?
So I was 4 years old when it started, and then I was 8 years old when it started to get really bad. When I was 15, I was impregnated by my father. So I was pregnant with my father's child. I had a miscarriage to his child, but that's when it started to come to life for me. That's when people started to find out like the truths about my father, because it started to get really hard to hide throughout high school. I would have bruises, like strangle marks on my like neck, like beaten eyes, bruises all over my body. So it started to become harder and harder to hide than when I was a child. So then I was 15, it's come out, and then my 15th birthday was the last time my father raped me. But then I moved in with my paternal grandparents, his parents, and my grandfather was already on the sex trafficking list, Megan's Law. So then the abuse started again with my grandfather.
Wow. So, oh my God, I just want to hug you right now. Okay, so your grandfather was also an abuser.
Yes, my paternal grandfather.
Was your father abused also by his own
Um,
father? Do you know?
I have like a complicated family dynamic. So like the person I consider my paternal grandfather isn't actually my dad's father. My grandma was married multiple times, and it is said that my father was probably abused by one of like the many men that came in and out of his house growing up.
Okay. Um, Yeah, because there's that, if that's the kind of love, even
Yeah.
though it's sick and disgusting, that's
Yeah.
how
It's like
they
the cycle
know.
of abuse. Yeah.
So you were trafficked and you were raped by other men too, not just your
Yes.
father.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. And you just had that one pregnancy and you had a miscarriage. Am I
Yeah.
following it correctly?
Hmm.
So it started getting really hard to hide your
Yeah. Yeah.
bruises.
In high school.
And did you get any help from school?
In high school, my high school was like my home. I was there probably longer than any other student. I would get there early in the morning and I would stay late at night. Like it was my safe place. Like learning in school was my only place that I felt safe in the world. So I used that to keep me sane, basically. But eventually, during high school, as I started to find my voice a little bit more, in high school, I was still very timid and shy, but it wasn't like I was the scared 8-year-old anymore. Like, I knew what was happening to me was wrong. To whereas when I was 8, I just thought it was like a normal thing. I thought it happened to everyone because it's all I knew. But as I started to grow up and see like other people's families and other people, like how other people's families worked and how their dads treated them, like it started to click in my brain that like this wasn't normal. And so I kind of had that perspective. In high school, I started to realize that. And then I started to confide more and more in certain teachers, and obviously like when teachers hear that kind of stuff they have to report it, so then I started to get social workers and all of that.
So where's your father now?
He's in jail.
Good, thank God.
Yeah.
For specifically to your case?
Yep.
Oh,
Went to trial against him in March, and he was found guilty on all counts.
were there others?
Yeah, there were others.
I guess let me clarify that. My question is, this case is your own case against your father?
Yep.
Okay. Did anyone help you with that?
I had a lot of support through school. Like I said, a lot of my teachers helped me. I started going to trial when I was 15, and the trial just ended this March. So I was going to trial for like 3.5 years.
Wow.
I was going to court once a month, every month, walking in, seeing my dad. He wasn't handcuffed or anything. He was just sitting there. And so I found a lot of support in school, but then I also had my victim advocate. She always came to court with me. And then my maternal side of the family has been supportive too.
Okay. And where is your grandfather now?
My grandfather, he's at home. I pressed charges against him, but it came to a point to where I was done. Like I couldn't go to court anymore. I'd been going to court for now it's been 4.5 years against my dad, and I just couldn't do that again. Like I just wanted to be able to move on, and so I dropped charges against him this summer.
Okay. How was that process like to describe that feeling of being done? I'm done. You're done with revenge. You're done
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, so I kind of got to a place to where I'm starting to be able to forgive my father, as crazy as it is. Like, it's coming to a point to where it's like, I can't change the past. Like, what's happened to me has happened to me. And the only thing I can do is help my future. I can help other kids. I can help find my own voice and use my voice to help other people. So it got to a point in high school to where it was like, it felt never ending. It was like I hadn't physically been hurt by him in years, but I was still having to go. When I first reported, he was arrested for 2 days and then he was let go because the like court system said that he wasn't a danger to society, so he was allowed to like live at home, go to work and stuff, and his trial. So then when I went to court once a month, he was sitting like just with next to my mom, like in a court pew, and like I had to walk past and sit by him, and it got to a point to where that was like too much for me. And I was like, there's no way like I can do that again. And although I would get my grandfather off the street, it's also to the point where I can use my voice to help people in other ways rather than just getting him arrested.
Wow, that's. Oh, I want to hug you even more right now, because that process of forgiveness, forgiving your perpetrator is very, very hard for other people who've gone through abuse. In fact, they identify with that. I'm abused. I'm a survivor of. That becomes a label, that becomes an identity. And to take that identity from people, it's like they're defending that identity. And yet
Yeah.
here you are, so young.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it will always be a part of who I am. Like, I mean, 18 years of my life, I was physically and sexually abused by the men in my family that I was supposed to trust. And
yeah.
it's never going to go away.
Mhm.
But that's the thing, I can't make it go away. I can't go back in the past and change what they did.
Yeah, you can't make it go away. You've embraced it.
Yeah.
And you're choosing to rise above it, which is really the point of this podcast, is rising above crimes against humanity. Oh my God, you've got such a big heart. Is there anyone or something that really inspired you to get to this point in your life?
Um, I've had a lot of support along the way. I've had people like teachers who have turned into like motherly figures. I've had people from church turn into like motherly figures, and they've all been like supportive and have helped me to this point. But I would say that actually music and dance has helped me. It helped me survive. Growing up, I was a dancer, so just like school, dance class was my safe place. And I was a competitive dancer, so I would go, and it was like for 2 minutes and 30 seconds while I was dancing, I was like invincible. No one could stop me. I couldn't think about anything else, because in dance, if you think about, if your mind's wandering while you're trying to do the dance moves, you're going to stumble and fall. So it's like those 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I was like free of everything.
Wow. So you have a creative outlet. And I just want to say, my goodness, how would you feel right now if you were locked down and unable to go to school?
Yeah, it would be rough. Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. It would be trapped. It would be a whole, yeah, I would just be trapped.
Trapped in more.
Yeah, trapped in more and more abuse. Yeah, I mean, there were times where like I would be locked up for weeks at a time and not be in school. So like I do know that feeling, but I can't imagine like with everything going on and kids who are being abused being locked in home with their abusers right now.
When you were trapped in the barn for those weeks and weeks, what was going through in your mind?
At that point, I didn't even know that what was happening to me was wrong. Like I knew I hated it, but I thought this was like how a father showed their love to a daughter. It was the only thing I ever knew. So to me, it was just like this is just something like life. It was just something I had to do. Like to me, it was just like how some kids have to clean the dishes. It was for me. It was like my dad's gonna rape me tonight, and that's my job. Like, is to let him do that.
And you just sit in the dark, or however the condition, you must have been doing something while waiting for him.
No, I was tied up. I wasn't allowed to do anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Oh my God. I want to punch him in the face right now. I really, really do.
You're not the first one who has said that.
So you were not thinking of anything. You were just, how did you survive that? I can't imagine. Were
A
you
lot of
playing
times,
in the
like
clouds or?
even when I was like locked up alone, it was still dancing. Like I would picture myself, like I would close my eyes and I would just imagine the steps in my head and like just run through them over and over again in my head. And it was just my escape that way. Like I was able to like no matter what, I was able to just close my eyes and go through my routines and go through my routines.
Wow. And that really is actually, the mind doesn't know whether it's real or imagined. So that's really an important thing for people to know, that when they are in that crisis or adversity, that they can go someplace else in their imagination or fantasy and create a whole nother world, and not have to um, suffer through that feeling trapped. You were tied down. Oh my God. I can't imagine, and I can't imagine raising my kids in this lockdown. You know, think they're they graduated already, but I can't imagine walking in people who are going through this oppression of freedom, suppression of voices. So let me ask you this. I didn't get a chance to ask you, why did you agree to come and grace me with your presence?
It was really just, I thought it was a good opportunity to spread more awareness, and gotten to the point to where, like I said, my story doesn't really hurt me as much anymore. So I'm able to like openly talk about it and inspire and help others to either help kids get out of the situation or help kids figure out how to get out of the situation. Yeah.
Because what I heard was 800,000 kids are either missing or trafficked. I can't.
Right. Yeah. It's if you're in a room with three other girls, so it's you and three other girls, the statistic is 1 in 4 of you have been raped.
That is just sad. And
And I believe it's either 1 in 6 men, I believe, or 1 in 8 men, but I could be wrong on that.
so higher percentage in girls, in female. Oh, that just makes me so mad. Jesus. What do you think is the solution out there? One is, to thank you for speaking up and raising awareness, helping raise awareness on this. But where do you see we need more focus? Where's the gap?
Yeah, I think part of it is lack of people being trained to know the signs. Like, people who are supposed to be trained to know the signs, they don't. And it's not necessarily their fault, but it's just like the society we live in. It's kind of like a brush it under the rug, like, type thing. And it's like people can see obvious signs and not even realize they're seeing them. So there's that, and it's also like, for me, the hardest part was actually speaking up when I had to like talk to police officers and like all of that, and then going to court 4.5 years. It was almost like the whole situation happened all over again in those 4.5 years because of how often I had to relive it. And I think that's one thing that should be changed, like the laws and legislations about like abusers towards children and like how they're handled and how long they have to go to court for and the whole court process.
Right. Because the more you relive it, the more you get triggered.
Mm-hmm.
And the more it becomes part of your identity. But you're smart enough to be able to rise above that, which is amazing. Is there anything else that you see that there's just weaknesses in the system other than what you already shared?
I would really just say the way that honestly victims are like treated through the court system. Like, going through the court system is a whole nother traumatic experience on its own.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, there's a lot of cover-ups going on, censorship on this issue, and if I can get through this thing in my stomach right now, just talking about it makes me feel like wired up and wanna hurt somebody, especially your abuser. I love that you shared about imagination and your creative outlet through dance. Is there anything that you would like to share with other? Let's start with older survivors that have not embraced their past yet, like you have. You're so young and you've already, gone to that level of forgiveness. I know of people that will never, ever forgive their attackers or perpetrator.
Like, my thing was dance in school, and everybody has some sort of passion, whether it's reading or writing or whatever it may be. And honestly, the best way to start finding your voice and finding yourself is to find that passion and hold on to it and be able, like, you might not be able to use your passion right away to share your story or to help others, but there will come a day where you can. Like, no matter what it is, there will be a way to where you can use your passion to help your story.
So tell me, when you were dancing and imagining, how did you feel in your body? How did you feel?
Yeah, dancing for me was very, very freeing. Like it was a place where I was truly myself and I didn't feel judged and I just put on my dance shoes and I was with my friends and I could just let go.
Just let go. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so amazing. That would be the same message you have for younger kids who are maybe still
Yeah.
in that.
Younger kids who are still in it, it's yeah, I would have a similar message. Like you just have to find something that like you have to find something to keep you going. Like something that you're able to hold on to that you love, that you can just hold on to it and let it keep you going in the darkest days.
Okay. That's really amazing that you have that passion early on in life. You have that creativity outlet. I didn't discover my creativity until late in life. I'm a late bloomer when it comes to that. So I was trained, right? I was groomed to be an academic. So that part of me was shut down,
Yeah.
actually. Well, I did, the dancing in front of the mirror kind of thing, but I don't think I ever had it in me. So for those on the other side, it's never too late to find your creative outlet.
Yeah.
It's there. It's there. I used to say I'm not an artist or I have no creative bone in my body. That's total bogus. So,
Yeah.
so for those of who are listening and who will be listening, how can they help other than improving the legal system?
I would just say get more familiar with the signs. Like even if you Google like signs or whatever you need to do to be able to like for me it was like I said, people are looking for like the quote unquote like bad guys in the back alleys with like guns and weapons and like kidnapping their kid from a grocery store or whatever. But you're so busy looking for those types of things that your neighbor next door has their child tied up in a barn and you have no idea. And you're over at their house for dinner. And it's like you just don't even realize that it's right around you. It's right in front of your face.
And so, what signs should we look for?
So for me, it was I I was a very, very quiet kid. I didn't talk to anyone. Like adults were like bad people to me. Um, there's just certain things like my dad would take me out like to dinner and like the waiters would see me with my dad, but then I would leave with another grown man. And it's like a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you scream for help? Like children who are abused and are trafficked, they're not going to scream for help. Like that's not something that we can do. Like we cannot, like if we scream for help, that could be the end of our life. Like if we were like screaming help, like for help in the grocery store, the abuser is probably going to take you home and you're going to get punished for that later. So it's like you obey as much as you can to avoid as much abuse as you possibly can. So it's really like I know some of the signs are really, really hard to see because at the same time it's like, well, that kid's just a bratty kid. Like,
Right, right.
but then also it's like, well, why does that kid have bruises up and down her thighs? So there's like a balance.
And so, tell me now, where are you at? You're using your dance as a therapy. Do you serve um,
Yeah.
children?
So right now it's kind of hard with COVID. So um I've taken the year off of teaching dance just because of different COVID and it was just a lot of like precautions and so I took the year off, but I would still consider myself a dancer. Like I still love it. It's still my passion. I'm also in school full time. I'm going to school to be a social worker to work with kids.
Mhm.
And yeah.
And you're going to social work with what specific goal in mind?
Well, at first I want to work in like child division, like my social workers, like the social workers I have. If it wasn't for my social worker in my early high school years, I wouldn't be alive today. Like, if it wasn't for her coming into my life, I would not be alive. So it's kind of like I want to give that back to some kids and be able to help them in that way. But also, like, I want to apply to law school and go in on the law side and help like different child abuse like laws and legislations.
Yeah, yeah. That's just horrible that you had to go through that. I'm really sorry you had to go through that, but I'm also acknowledging you for your courage, for your wisdom to rise above this, and not, even though it's part of you, it's not stopping you. Um, and if there's anything else that you want to share.
I would really just say to like kids and stuff, like, you really do have to find something to keep you going. You always have to let the fire inside of you burn brighter and hotter than the fires around you. It's like the only way to survive.
I absolutely love that. That is so true. Oh my God. Um, Thank you so much, Hailey. Again, sorry that you had to go through that, but you're so much wiser because of it. And I really believe that what you're doing through social work, your dreams, your dance, um, it's gonna catapult you to a bigger expression of yourself. I believe you're a big, really big energy, and you're here to make the world a better place through your experience. And thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you for all that you've gone through. I bless you. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry. I'm so uncomfortable with all of this. I'm actually shaking, but it really makes my blood boil that there's censorship around it, that I promise you that I will not shut up about this. And yeah, I will not shut up about this, and really make it known out there that this kind of abuse is happening, and that we need to go to the core of the issue so that abusers don't become abusers themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, God bless you.
Thank you.
And would you,
holiday.
what's that?
Have a good holiday.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm really thankful for this. Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.